Will Gala Games meet its 2021 roadmap development goals, or will it miss this very timely window and fall off into oblivion? Today, in this episode, we're going to be exploring what Gala Games may be sharing with us next about the world of Mirandus. Let's dig in.
So here's some stuff that we've been working on, guys, and everything's just kind of in progress. You know, a lot of it's just some design thinking and some directions we want to take the game. As always, I love doing these, and I want to do them more and more and more. And I think I will have more time to be focused on that in the near future. And I'll have more time to be engaging with you guys as well. And that's important to me too. So.
Hey there, welcome to Mirandus Live. Jesse here, and today I've got a little bit of a different format. I'm just getting my day started, and so this is more of a casual exploration of some of the observations for past AMAs in the world of Mirandus. I may continue to do these and just call them casual coffee Saturday or Sunday. It's Saturday for me now. What I want to talk about today is the May 7th AMA. It was the last AMA of any real significance, the one where we got tons of useful bits of information. And I'm going to be talking about these over time, but today I'm focusing on just the roadmap goals. But just to kind of give you a teaser of what I'll be sharing in future conversations and observations like this, we'll be looking at the 5 races. We'll be looking at avatars. Avatars were released about a week after the May 7th AMA. We'll be looking at the avatar attachment points, essentially how the avatar character is built and the things you can place on them. We'll be looking at avatar conditions, hit points and vitality and energy and how they work together and what's already been shared with us from McCarthy. We'll be looking at avatars and how they're wallet-like, meaning what is engraved into your avatar, because these are things that will dictate how death works in the world even. What things are attached but can be removed. We'll be looking at boundary zones, oceans, piers, ports, and boats, and the things that were hinted towards in that AMA, because these are all significant things that are going to be related to where you might want to place your deed. We're going to be talking about one that I think is hilarious. I call it broke peasant noobs. And the reason for this is that you got to remember McCarthy talks about Mirandus as being an adventure simulator. And so he wants to emulate medieval times. Well, if we look back at medieval times, the overwhelming majority of people were peasants. And so what will that mean for the person who is new to the game, meaning that they might discover Mirandus a year after it's fully released? And let's say that that person wants to only be free to play. What is that experience going to be like for them? Free to play has to be compelling in order for the in-game economy to thrive. And so that's an important piece. I want to talk a bit about that. Customizing your avatar, day and night, dragon familiars. These are all things that were shared in this AMA. In-game lighting. How many characters can be on a screen at once on your browser? And then there were questions answered such as inns versus taverns, items on-chain versus off-chain, sharing your NFTs. What does it mean to have privileges and agreements with other players? And then we'll actually do a section on the Chronicus. The Chronicus is going to be basically your record of how you interact with the world and kind of what McCarthy's vision is for that and the rest of his development team. And by the way, I hope that he continues to he's talked about it, I want to see him bring other people from the development team on so we can hear from them, because they're a big part of what's being created as well in the community, being that the goal here is to develop this game with the community, as you'll soon learn in this roadmap. I want to meet who else is on this team, who else is creating this world. And then also answer the question like, where can you pitch a tent? This has been something that's come up in the Gala Games Discord quite a bit. So these are all things we'll be exploring in future versions of this, whatever this is to be. So with that, let's go ahead and take a look at the roadmap.
Our goal in 2021 is to get avatars in everyone's hands. And I think those you'll start to see those in the store as soon as next week. We're calling these our alpha characters. We'll have a human, an orc, a dwarf, an elf, and a halfling. These are just fun races. I mean, and obviously they'll have some strengths and weaknesses associated with them, but we really like the idea that, you know, all of these, of course, are going to be, you know, game items and tokens on chain, and some of them are going to be more rare than others. We think that's a really fun idea too, that maybe humans are, of course, incredibly common, but the other races be more scarce, and we think that's kind of fun. But we like these guys, and they really create some fun opportunities in the game. And again, you know, Mirandus, we really want Mirandus to be kind of a classic RPG adventure, so we're liking the way this is going.
Since this video came out May 7th, about a week later, the avatars, the exemplar avatars, were released. There's going to be 50,000 of those in total. I'm not going to go deep into avatars here today because I do have an entire video that will be dedicated to the avatar NFTs in the 3-part series Mirandus by the Numbers. We've already done land deeds, we've already done buildings, so you can see links in the description or somewhere on the screen to go and check out those videos. But I'll cover avatars in greater detail for sure. But here's what I will say about the exemplar avatars. As McCarthy suggested, humans are going to be much more common. Out of these 50,000 of them, 50% of them, so 25,000, will be, I believe it's 25,000, will be human. 20% of the exemplars are orc, another 20% are dwarf. So that right there already makes up 90% of all of the exemplar NFTs, yet there's still 2 races. 8% will be halfling, and just 2% will be elf. So that means that in the land of Mirandus, at least with the exemplars that have already been brought forward, there will only be 1,000 elves throughout the land. And it is believed there'll be 5 variations of those. 4 have already been identified. With that, let's go ahead now and move in further into what was shared about the roadmap and how Gala Games wants to proceed with developing Mirandus.
Then we need to get to deployable software. You know, you guys can hit play. We've got some stuff, you know, living on the server. We've got a build we can update, and we're working towards getting a meeting hall together. And it could be a town square, could be a meeting hall, but some place that you guys can go to, you can log in, you can walk around, you can start like socializing with each other. And I love the concept of the meeting hall or the town square because it gives you guys a chance to jump in game, show off your cool avatar.
It becomes in-game Discord.
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
And we will have AMAs there, just so everybody knows.
That would be the absolute coolest thing, right? Like, what if the next time we were showing off cool stuff, we could all just be meeting in the world of Mirandus? We want to stand that up.
Okay, so this is where things begin to get interesting, and it gets exciting because these are the first hints of McCarthy saying, hey, look, rather than us build out this massive 3D world of Mirandus and then allow everyone in, he wants to build out a little microcosm. He wants to build out a little tiny plot of land that shows the in-game mechanics. Place a town hall or meeting hall there and allow us to utilize our avatar NFTs that we already have and run around the world. This is a huge step. This actually begins to transition from the unknown and transform our art NFTs into utility-based NFTs, because the truth is, that's kind of what they are right now. All of these land deeds, all of these building deeds, and these avatars are essentially art NFTs, because until we can actually realize the utility function of them and utilize them, we might as well just place them on our wall and hopefully you like the picture for what you paid for. So this will begin to change things. And it also suggests that the development team realizes that they're really biting into a whole bunch of firsts. It would have been one thing to just say, let's grab an off-the-shelf MMORPG and slap it on blockchain. That would still be significant. If all of a sudden we can own our in-game assets for a game like EverQuest or Guild Wars, Lord of the Rings, Ultima Online, World of Warcraft, any of those, and be able to simply own the items, run around the game, and engage the in-world economy in a way that feels more real, making it semi-virtual, really. So that is a really cool thing to do, and that will bring utility to these things that we purchase, which I think the moment that happens, and especially the moment we start understanding more about professions and crafting, we're going to see a massive and dramatic change in prices, both up and down for different items within the secondary market. But again, this is the first hint and signs of the Gala team saying, look, we really do want to build this with the community. And the truth is, for what they are building, they have to do it with the community. Otherwise, there's no way it can come to life. There's far too many firsts here, which could send it into a perpetual development cycle that goes on indefinitely. So let's see what's next.
And it's good for us technically too, guys, right? Without having a mega huge world built and everything that goes along with that, we can get everyone kind of logged in and into a location and start kind of pounding on some of the server side tech, which would be awesome.
So again, this is a win-win for both. It's a win-win for the developers. It's a win-win for the community. The community gets to feel they're a part of it. They actually get to get some utility out of the things they've already purchased. They get to play with it, see how it works, get a feel for the land. And it gives the developers the opportunity to tune and adjust and have someone poking at it, breaking it, and kicking the tires. This is a win-win for both, for sure.
If we all can be there and there's kind of a meeting hall or a town hall, then we also can use that as a platform to test pieces of the game, right? Like, hey, walk through this corridor and down the hall might be where you can craft or bake something. Is that fun and cool? Or where you can start to play with going hunting or some of the combat mechanics. So we can kind of extend it to different halls and rooms and let you guys play different pieces of the game and give us feedback about if it's cool or not. And we really count on you guys for that. We're building this together.
Okay, so there's a bit to unpack here. Yes, it's going to be of incredible value for us to begin to learn the mechanics of the game by testing out crafting elements. They'll probably set up some workbenches and a forge and things like that, and probably provide some basic items so that we can start to work on this stuff together. This is huge because what will determine the success of Mirandus is the enjoyment that we get out of the game. And this is where we're going to start to build these things together.
To be very clear, this is not the typical way that development happens. Typically, you have something that's created in its entirety under, wraps, under a blanket. Nobody can see it. Nobody can see what's going on. And then it gets pushed out. Everyone responds to it then. We actively are looking for participation and feedback and ideas from the community because we think that's how the absolute best experience for the player can be created. And that's what we're all about.
Jason, I don't exactly agree with you there. I appreciate what you're saying. And there is absolute value in us building this together, but this is not a new concept, nor is it something that's scarce. I've been a member of the Steam engine community. I literally own a couple hundred games on Steam, and I've been on there for many, many years. And that's how many of the games are built there. Many of the games start with an idea. There's a pre-release. It's very clear that it's a pre-release. And the game is built based on community feedback. So it's far from being a new model. It's actually the best model, I agree. And it's one that's been in practice and has proven to be one of the best approaches to landing at the finish line with a game that is enjoyable, has epic playability to play again and again and again without fatigue and without feeling like, all right, I've experienced this, I'm on to something else. So this is something that's definitely been done for a long time. I'm glad to hear that Gala Games and the dev team for Mirandus is going to use this approach. I believe it's crucial to the overall success of Mirandus for sure.
There's kind of this other thing that we've been thinking about too, guys, I want to hit you with, and we're incredibly excited about this. Really, what is a game at its roots? At its roots, it's like there's kind of an avatar and there's an avatar requirement. And then there's a physical requirement, right? Maybe it's a weapon or a tool or a skill, one of your pages in the Chronicus, a building, maybe a deed. And then you exert an action, you exert energy into the world. Time is elapsing, and then you get a result. And that's kind of a game in a nutshell in many ways, right?
Okay, so this here, why it may not seem like it, to me is one of the most amazing things that was shared in this AMA. Why? Because it's a peek inside the mind of McCarthy. And I've been a fan of his for a while. I really played Arcanum quite a bit, played Fallout 2, so I'm familiar with some of the games that he has been a part of the development process. And so when he shares things like this, it gives us an idea of what the underlying influences are for building out game mechanics. And I really resonate with this, so much so that I want to take this, peel back a few layers on this and share what this actually means to you and me. Because this is what will make Mirandus or break Mirandus if we get this component right. Because this is where games emulate real life. Let me explain. So the avatar section up there, the avatar is your identity. It's who you are in the world. the world of Mirandus. And so this is how you want to put yourself forward, how you want to express yourself to others. It's who you imagine you are. It's the character that you are going to live vicariously through and how people will interact with that character. So it's your identity. The next piece you have there is the physical requirements. Well, this is essentially your stuff, okay? These are your trophies, the things you're proud of, the things you've collected along the way. These are things that you have gathered that empower you to exercise your will on the world and the environment around you. Okay, so you've got your identity and you've got your stuff. I don't know if you've ever seen the George Carlin skit on stuff and storage units, but that is your stuff, the stuff that falls into physical requirements there. Now, when you have your identity and your stuff, you have the ability to make choices based on that stuff. And those choices are in essence reflected in your actions. Okay? The actions you can take in the world are based on your identity and the stuff that you gathered. That is your influence. And so those actions can have an immediate effect, those actions can have a delayed effect, and in many cases it will take multiple actions over time. That's the time component. And when you have all those things together, it equals a result. Well, what is the result? The result is the world responding to you, okay? That is the world reflecting back all that you just put forth towards it. So that is kind of how it comes together and how it really reflects a game emulating real life. So if you can take a game and really fine-tune these components, you are going to have an epic game that has a lot of playability, a lot of joy and value that comes from playing that, because again, you're getting to live vicariously through a character that you created in a game world. And that's why people come to play these games. So I just want to peel back a couple other layers and share my thoughts on this and why I love that McCarthy took a moment to share the perspective of what really is a game. And so, yes, let's carry on.
What if we were able to just build the systems of Mirandus, and before the massive 3D world is built, what if we could launch the game as kind of a casual RPG that you could play on your phone or in a browser anywhere? And what I mean by that is, imagine that there's a top-down map of the world of Mirandus. You could place your deed. We can get all of your NFTs, guys, and things that you've purchased up and running and living in that world.
Now, this is a cool concept, and I'm super excited about this, and I'll tell you why. When it was announced that Mirandus was going to be first person, I was a little disappointed in that, especially after seeing some of the images that had the bird's eye view of the avatar kind of in a battle with the Minotaur King that you can see on the website. And the reason that I was a little disappointed is that for myself and many people, first-person perspective can become fatiguing after a while. In fact, a lot of people experience virtual vertigo, where you kind of get not disoriented, but you actually, in some cases, even feel a little nauseated after playing in that perspective for a while. It's very common in virtual headsets if the game isn't done right. So that's a factor. So by now having another way to participate in the game through a top-down, by having your mobile device, another way to interact, to kick off a craft, to do things like that, perhaps check on the sales of your items in the marketplace or however that might work. These are all important ways to interact within the game. And the reason that I suggest that this is a super awesome, powerful component is because it's going to impact the in-game economy. This is huge. This is why people are here, really. They want to see this semi-virtual economy play out. And the more people that are able to interact with it, whether it's through a VR headset, whether it's through your PC, whether it's through your mobile device, all of these different ways to engage are going to build rapport between players, allow guilds and communities to grow and thrive. It's going to be a win-win for both the development team and for the community if the in-game economy is thriving through all of these different connection points.
You could place a deed. Deed owners could try to attract the right buildings and build up their little towns and cities. You could utilize those buildings to start crafting things in the world. You could harvest, you could adventure. And all of it, just takes time and energy that your avatar could exert into the world, and core materials and everything that Mirandus would be. And we think that's kind of fun and super cool. And it allows us to test the tuning of the game and collect feedback about the progression and the experience of it quite early. And we can start applying that, if it's working really well, to the larger 3D world. And we think that's kind of fun and really cool. You'll have your kind of Chronicus on the go and the ability to exert energy into the world of Mirandus. We think that's a really cool, fun idea, and let you guys, it'll get you guys to be able to use all your buildings and deeds quite early.
All right, so this is another thing to unpack here. There's quite a lot that was mentioned. Now, the thing that makes the most sense here again is that the development team wants to give the community the opportunity to get into the world, even though it's going to be a microcosm of the big world, where you'll be able to practice crafting, learn about the combat mechanics. If you own a deed, to be able to see what it's like to place a deed, and be able to start placing buildings, whether they're your own or having someone else place buildings on your deed. All of these things are important game mechanics that will give us the opportunity to see what that's about. Now, my guess is that this will all be temporary and that we get to practice this, but eventually the actual deed placement will take place when the big world is released. And the reason I think that that makes the most sense is that deed placement really is going to require that you know the lay of the land. Like, for example, how big is Mirandus? Where are prime resources? Where will the citadels be placed? Because those are the first things that will be placed in the land, the 5 kingdoms. Where are those? And so maybe you want to place your homestead in proximity to one of those. Where is a dungeon located? You might want to place your outpost close to that. So strategic placement near a waterway. We don't even know how water is going to work. Will there be rivers? Will that be a key factor? Will there be lakes? Will there be having something near the ocean? Will that be important? So all of these things that will come later, I think will require for at some point a reset, and then being able to place your deeds once the world of Mirandus as a whole opens up. Now that also begs the question, will we be able to maintain ownership of our crafted items? Will the things that we craft and create in the test world, will those be on-chain or off-chain? At some point, I imagine even the test is going to have to be on-chain. So will we be able to keep those NFTs? I would imagine, because those NFTs are attached to us and they're in our wallet. But will those NFTs have application in the actual final version of the game? Because that's the thing that Gala Games has absolute control over, including your land deeds and your buildings and your avatars. While you own those, how they operate and function within the game is fully under the control of the developer. So for example, you could have an NFT that you created during this crafting phase and create this great sword, but that sword might not be functional. It might not even appear in the real world. It may just sit in your wallet. Gala has control over all of that. So these are important things that I'm considering about how it will work. But I do love the fact that the dev team and the community will be working together to experience the in-game mechanics, how they work, give us a chance to do that and build it with them. They fine-tune and adjustment. This is a great proposed relationship, and I hope that it starts soon.
It also led us to this thought that, my gosh, like if we launched that and everyone can just be kind of playing a light simulation of what Mirandus will be before the full 3D world is built, why couldn't we keep that concept later? You can't always be in front of your PC, right? You can't always have your VR goggles on everywhere you go. What if you're on a trip, What if you're at work? What if we let you continue to engage in the world of Mirandus even if you're not in front of your PC? And what I mean is, at its simplest form, what if you could kick off a craft? So you're out on the go, you own a forge, and you want to start trying to craft an incredible magic sword. Got all the core materials, and you could use this casual game or this framework to launch that craft. So you would hit go, and that would just be kind of on your phone, if you will. But inside the game, we could see your avatar there going to work and banging on that anvil. This pre-game that we could release that kind of lets us tune the progression of the game and lets you guys use your NFTs early could ultimately become kind of a remote control for your avatar when you're away and you're not at your PC.
To create this new way for people to interact with the game. This is huge, whether you're interacting with your guild, whether you're interacting with other characters in the game, whether you're logging in to check on item sales in the marketplace, whether you're kicking off a craft, all those sorts of things. And also I like where he's talking about core components. So that means that even in this little virtual chunk of Mirandus that we'll be playing in for development purposes, you still get to understand what it's like to gather core materials and find out. Well, for example, crafting this, Jason Brink said in the Discord, the sword of swordiness, I believe. Awesome swordiness. Anyway, to be able to do that, is it going to take the work of someone pounding on the forge for an extended period of time that has the skills to do it? Will it take particular stuff that was mined from the right ore? Will it take the jeweler to inlay some jewels that are a requirement for the buffs that are needed for this sword? Will the hilt require some leather straps made from, you know, from the tannery and a leather worker? So how will all these components come together? These are all wonderful things that we all want to know, and it seems like this is going to be the first instance of us learning how these game mechanics work. And I'm incredibly excited about this, for sure.
You know, you could play a mini game at a tavern. You might be able to even talk to people in the world. So it's a really cool way to kind of stay connected to the world of Mirandus when you're away from your PC.
So this is another thing that's exciting, is being able to play mini games in a tavern from your phone without having to be in the world directly to do that. That's something that is pretty cool that can be kicked off from a mobile device. But it could also be a great experience playing from your PC, or a great experience with VR goggles on. So a lot of different ways to interact with this game, and the more ways that you give the community to interact with the game, the stronger the in-game economy and overall experience will be. So I'm super stoked about that for sure. Also, Jason Brink is building out one of those games, and I'm super excited to see what that game looks like. And I imagine it's something we'll probably be able to play pretty early on, especially in this little microcosm. That'll be one of the cool things we can do as a community, is to play one of these tavern games. So super stoked about that.
And again, any action you would perform here, you could see your avatar doing it if you were playing on a PC in the Mirandus world. So we wanted to kind of dig into that concept as well. All of it, guys, is just centered around letting you guys use the NFTs that you've purchased and getting you into the game as absolutely soon as possible.
Okay, so the last part here, again, it just continues to get redundant. The development team absolutely wants to be interacting with the community within this microcosm world of Mirandus. So that is a big deal. Now, the interesting thing here that was mentioned in this clip is about when you are on your mobile device, that if you are crafting and someone walks into your place of business, they will see you crafting away there. That will be the in-game experience. Now, the thing that is unknown about this, and that could be a little weird, is imagine that you're walking through a town where everyone in the town is doing remote crafting. Well, that'd be a weird experience to be walking around town and have everyone in that town be non-responsive to you. So how will that be handled? Will there be a change in the color of the icon above their head, or maybe a change in the color of their name that floats over their avatar, so that we know that this person is not actually logged into the game? Are they on a VR? Are they on desktop? Are they on mobile? How are they interacting with the game? Are they there but they're not there? So what will be the way that Gala Games will help us distinguish how a person is interacting within the world of Mirandus? So there you have it. That's kind of the first thing I wanted to touch on, is the roadmap. And at the beginning of this video, you heard about all of the other things from this AMA that I've sliced and diced that I want to cover in this style. Basically just observing what was shared and sharing some thoughts on it. But I'd love to hear from you. Share in the comments below what you think about each of these things. What do you think about having this little microcosm to go in and play within the world of Mirandus? Be able to bring your avatar in, to place your land deed, to place your building, start crafting, to start learning about the combat mechanics and interacting with other people, playing tavern games, being able to use a mobile device to be able to have a top-down map and interact with the world that way. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I really want to have a conversation here about Mirandus as it develops. And so with that, I will say that if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and jab that notification bell, because we're going to be sharing a lot of cool stuff. This channel is focused on Mirandus. It's not blockchain gaming, it's not Townstar, it's not all these other things. It is Mirandus. So the news and updates here are relevant and specific to the game as it develops. So thank you for watching this. Thanks for being here. Until the next video, Jesse out.